Huh? When I opened my eyes, I was in my bedroom. I had no idea what time it was or how long I'd slept, but the first time in a few days I had an appetite. Thank God, Jesus Christ. It's day 4. I finally might want to eat something. Huh. Sitting up
To
in
be
bed.
fair, I'm not saying it's healthy, but you can go like 3 weeks without food, so he's okay. He's not
Yes.
dying yet.
But you should be hungry. You should be going. I lost appetite for 1 day and went to the hospital because I was like, something's fucking wrong. This is bad. It's actually deeply upsetting to go your whole life having the ability to eat. Like, there's a weird element of the process of eating where you realize that like your body just kind of instinctively kind of takes over a lot of the process and just kind of like the appetite and so on kind of like does the whole thing for you to a large extent, even though it feels like you're controlling it and so on. And you realize how much that's the case the moment you're not hungry at all. And not the like, I don't know, I'm getting kind of full kind of way, but like the actual like diagnosable loss of appetite state is a bizarre thing where it's like you forget what food is or how to eat it, and you can try to physically mechanically do it, and it's shockingly hard to do. It's bizarre. Like chewing and swallowing just suddenly becomes really hard process. And so I went to the hospital immediately when that happened. Like, that's immediately deeply alarming. You don't just that's a hell of a thing to try to just power through and be like, no, everything's fine, I'm just gonna act like this isn't happening right now. It's like I'm not having a crisis.
It's very funny because loss of appetite is something I experience every single day in the exact way that you just described, and it is such not a big deal for me that I don't even think about it anymore.
Well, because you're numb to it.
Yeah, well, because it happens, it's a result of ADHD medication. So I just, yesterday I had a breakfast burrito that I ordered for breakfast, took my meds, saw the burrito, and literally was just like, nope, just can't do it. Just can't eat that. Not gonna happen right now. And I didn't eat it until like 11:30 at night.
Oh, I hate that sentence. I don't like that. Reheated breakfast burrito. That's not a good time.
It was good. No, it was good. It was really good.
No. Granted, I'm thinking of shittier breakfast burritos in some case. I have a really weird. This is a dumbest tangent, but I have a weird quirk I've noticed where, for some reason, whenever sometimes I'll order a Jamba Juice, and I just want like a sort of like kind of meal thing with it, but they don't have that much of a menu these days, and they won't give you their pizzas. I don't even have to make them anymore. So I'm like, okay, give me two breakfast burritos because they're small, and so I'll order 2 of them. This has happened 3 times over the last couple of years now. Every single time I order 2 breakfast burritos, they heat up one of them and not the other one.
Okay.
And then they're both wrapped in foil and in a bag, and it's just a weird trap. Like one of them is heated, and you can see like the singe marks on the tortilla, and the insides are like melted like cheese and egg and stuff. And the other one is just like cold. Like the tortilla's not browned. It doesn't hold together. You peel it open, and you just see a bunch of individual like blobs of egg that are just cold inside. I'm just like, what, like gumdrops, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And it's happened every time, and I don't know why they're doing this to me. I don't know what would cause that. What behavior? It's unhinged. It's so strange. Like, what the fuck is happening at Jamba Juice? It's just a bizarre outcome to happen. But like, if it happens once, you're like, okay, weird mistake. If it happens every time, there's something in the process causes this. And I can't interpret what would do that, because why would that ever be part of any process? I don't understand at all. Like, do they grab the 2 burritos, put one in?
I think what it actually
the guy arrives,
is,
and then they just pack them up and ship them, and they just forget every time to put the other one in next or something, or?
I think the actual thing that's going on is just the like property of how they heat them up in like basically convection microwaves, and how like you put two things into the microwave and cook it for the same amount of time, only one of them gets cooked.
Do you think their thing just doesn't work? That's just like a hardware
I mean, that's just how all
have.
microwaves. That's how all microwaves work. Yeah. You put two hot pockets in for 2 minutes. It's not going to cook as well as one hot pocket in 2 minutes.
Do they use microwaves? I thought most of these places use toaster ovens.
Usually some sort of convection toaster microwave thing, but the way the heat works,
you can only ever really
basically
clearly
be the same.
see the one that they have at Subway because it's right there.
Sure.
Anyway, this is my burrito dilemma and appetite discussions. Sitting up in bed, I noticed a piece of paper, barely folded, placed by my bedside table. I scanned the words and smiled weakly. A note from Tyson saying that when I was ready, we could talk if you wanted. The others had left notes too. Orlando and Roswell saying that they loved me. Sal and Dean expressing that they'd support me any way that I needed. Then simply from Haas was another offer to talk, but punctuated with a simple apology. Simply simple. Just read some of these sentences again. just please. Wandering out of my room, wandering is just the act of moving in the story. If you move, you're wandering. But like, if it's aimless, you're wandering. But when they went into the kitchen with his dad, it was also called wandering. But they were there on purpose to get the menus. That's just walking. Wandering out of the room, it seemed as though the house was quiet. It must have really been out for a while. Everything in the refrigerator looked good, and I grabbed what seemed to be leftovers and shoveled it down. It was Sal. The moment I tasted it, I recognized Orlando's cooking. And it reminded me of home. Maybe not in the literal sense, but a place of comfort far away from this place. My head was still swimming with the flood of emotions that I'd been hit with earlier in the day, but for now, I was doing all right. I knew, though, I wasn't going to get off that easy. Part of me wished I could gush about Dad to the others so they'd understand, but Orlando and Roswell were there, so they could possibly explain how big a deal he was to me. I don't think you have to explain the idea that your dad died and that hits you hard. There's not a foreign concept. If not them, then Tyson. He'd told them his side of the story after all. But more importantly, I couldn't hide what I'd tried to do twice. Then what happened with Jack? You literally can hide it because no one saw, and no one knows what happened inside your head where you briefly contemplated jumping off a cliff.
Yeah.
And most importantly, why I'd been messing with the vault. Don't they know that already? Wait. It made me realize that unless I leaned on it like a crutch, it wasn't all that useful. It wasn't really a time machine, but it had its uses. The main problem was putting it into words for the others to understand. With Osmond gone, it was going to be hard to explain things, but maybe I could count on Benson to translate, assuming he knew anything of what was going on to the extent Osmond did. Osmond didn't tell you anything. Not really. You pretty much just intuited it yourself. Even then, he knew that Osmond was dead, so he probably had other priorities too. He wasn't in the dining room when everyone else was, and I couldn't blame him if he wanted to have some time to grieve. So did they like jam all of their phones somehow?
Apparently.
Like they said they cut service, which I guess is both the landlines of the hospital of the mansion and every single person's cell phone across maybe several different providers.
Yeah, I mean you can get signal jammers for cell phones. Doesn't really matter on the provider. It's just a band. So if you can flood the signal and jam a cell phone, you can buy them on just literally on like Amazon. So is
someone else here, or does the rabbit have a signal jammer? Because he didn't even seem to have a backpack. Like
I'm sure the rest of the hillbillies coming in from the woods to murder them all for fun. Into? It's just You're Next. Yeah, watch You're Next happen now. You're Next is a great movie. Don't don't take that as a hit against Your Next, but Your Next is a wonderful film.
Watch Your Next. Yeah, it's good. There was no reason I could think of as to be as tired as I was all the time. But maybe I'd become so used to feeling this way that I never thought it could be the reason. Not that I'd suddenly become a morning person like Sal or even Haas overnight. As I yawned, I caught some movement off to the side. Haas standing in the doorway of one of the adjoining rooms. Our eyes met for a moment before he gestured me into the side room, heading on in without waiting. What is this room?
Well, it's a conservatory. You can read in it.
we have a new room? I took a seat on one of the sofas in the room, and Haas just sat just far enough away that I had a space on a separate chair. Is this another reading room? How many reading rooms are there? At first, he didn't say anything, seemingly thinking over his words before he broke the silence.
I didn't expect it to be something that hard-hitting.
I thought you were contemplating Sudoku for normal boring reasons, like they canceled your favorite comic.
Yeah, unfortunately, your favorite Netflix show didn't get a third season.
Like, what does he mean? What does he mean?
I've been there,
He didn't expect it to be something heavy.
I was really broken up when the OA was canceled, too.
Where's season 3 Netflix? I sighed out, rubbing my head.
Don't get me wrong, I can only imagine what it's like, but I think I understand a little. Losing someone that you're close to must be rough.
Yeah, it is. He nodded slowly, shifting in his chair uncomfortably. But it's not all bad? Just mostly bad? What does that mean? Losing someone you're close to isn't all bad? Is that what... I don't know if that
He's probably going to say something like, yeah, I'm really lonely and I miss my dad, but I've begun to realize how much all my friends care about me.
Whoa.
You know, whatever. What do you mean?
Well, I don't know. Ty never left. Especially in that first week, he was very, I don't know, intent on making sure I was okay. Stuff like making sure I ate, bathed, even sat outside for a bit each day to get some sun. I have to be thankful for that at least.
Taken from someone who, I guess, feels the same way. The fact that he called you a brother gives me an idea of where his head might be. No, I'd do the same for my siblings if anything happened.
Maybe. I've never had a brother or sister, so Tyson's the only thing I've got that's close. Haas nodded slowly, running his hands through his mane.
When you woke up, did you read the note?
Yeah, it was nice, I think. Something I wasn't used to for sure.
Well, that's good. Benson even made an effort to ask around if you were alright, so... we were all just that worried?
If it wasn't so late, I'd probably try and explain some things, but... Haas shook his head, reaching over and patting me on the shoulder.
You get a pass, Dave. It's alright. Sure. We're still not really sure what happened. Sorry, the double sure there just kind of confused me for a second. But
yeah.
Please don't hide the serious stuff from us again.
So please don't hide from us that your dad is unrelatedly dead from this trip. But you don't have to tell us what happened with the knife man that's still here. Is I think what he said? I feel like he should specify some things.
He sighed out again.
A lot of time has passed. No, that's just every fucking 30 seconds someone sighs out. It's so consistent now.
I haven't noticed it until you mentioned it. Now it's like...
Well, I've been reading the descriptions the whole time. The people have been sighing out this whole game so much. And it stands out in particular because I've never heard the phrase sighed out before. I've just heard sigh. I've never heard the
Yeah.
bonus word before. And they say it constantly, along with, you know, and if only, or if even, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then people keep saying 2 words that are in ellipses at the beginning of every sentence, really very consistently, to the point where just now Dave and Haas were talking to each other with the same voice, which is what you're not hopefully trying to do with dialogue. Don't worry. When I've had a bit more rest, I need to talk to Benson about something, and then let you guys know about it too.
What's it about?
The guy that owns this place, the one that I... You know.
That's inappropriate. Oh, that got me a little good.
Losing my
funny.
mind with it.
Whew.
I should let Benson know, right?
Right. Well, that's done. Maybe you can open the door so we can check it out.
You'd want to go see what I saw?
Here's a theory. What if we just left?
What if we left? It's
Just a
harder
thought.
now, because we took so long to do it for some reason that no one has cell service and can't call a ride. But boy, that should have been the thought every step of the way for the last, 4 days.
I'm not about to say I want to go see a dead body, but it's probably decomposed by now. Or decomposing. Probably smells really bad.
They really need to lose cell service faster in the story. They just...
Yep.
The phones need to be eliminated.
The doors need to
earlier.
lock behind them, the gate needs to break, and they need to lose cell service on day 2. There should...
Yeah. It's losing cell service would help with a lot of things, because now you have this group of people, especially people like Roswell and Tyson, that are like a powder keg, and they're just stuck here with each other, waiting for some kind of change to cell service. It's like being snowed in. You're just stuck with this group of people now. And then you find but most importantly, you got to have the cell service be cut out before they find the dead body, because them trying to hand wave the idea that they're not going to do anything about the dead body for 3 days before the cell service then is finally cut is wild. There was a dead body. This should be higher stakes. Why are people? And then Knife Guy shows up, and they don't immediately call the police about that either. How long did it take for the cell service to get cut? We conveniently pass out again, so we don't have to worry about the lineup there. But it kind of sounds like it wasn't preemptively cut before the Knife Man showed up. So I don't know. It's odd. He has all this crazy gear, but he has no way of sending a message to the outside world. Do they not have internet either?
Yeah.
Is the internet cut? He has a lab
Presumably.
here. I just have so many logistic questions. They gotta leave. Anyway.
But so long as Benson can get behind there and confirm, I guess that's good enough for me.
Tiredness caught me again, but I yawned, rubbing my eyes.
Should get back to bed. Can only imagine how exhausted you are.
Yeah, I probably should. You're exhausted because you're not eating. Eat food. I'm begging you. We stood up, and I knew that if I didn't get back to bed soon, I'd probably comfortably pass out the moment I found somewhere nice to lay down. You just woke up, didn't you? He didn't even make it to the kitchen, right? He just woke up.
Yeah, I don't know. Hey, I'm sorry. Not just for forcing it out of you, but also just everything.
I shook my head and flashed him a quick smile. It's all right. Someone had to do it, right?
Still, I'm sorry, Dave.
Thanks, Haas. See you in the morning?
As long as you don't sleep the day away again.
Given that this is a game that introduced every room like they were setting up the rooms that might come up in a game of Clue for a murder mystery, it is very surreal to just walk into a new space and not have it be commented on at all. That this is just a new room we've never seen before.
Yeah.
That's so weird. Huh. I got up to my room and sighed out, resting back on the door as I closed it behind me. I'd barely been awake for it, but the day had been long and tiring. Wandering over to my bed, I lay down in an attempt to get some more sleep. He's asleep more than he's awake now, at this point. It's getting impressive and upsetting. For as tired as I was, part of me wanted to stay awake, fearing another dream like the one I'd had, or maybe just waking up sad upon seeing my dad again. But despite my mind and heart not wanting it to happen, my body needed the rest, and I slowly drifted off. Man, we are rocketing through the days all of a sudden. Look at us go. When I opened my eyes, I knew I was dreaming again. Part of me wondered why I was still having dreams this vivid, but I didn't mind too much, at least not yet. I sat up in my bed, looking around the room. Seeing it again made me wonder how I'd feel once I got back home. An ache in my chest reminding me that Dad wasn't there, but maybe Mom would be. Tyson would be there for sure. I'd have to figure out if I wanted a new job, or go back to being a receptionist at the gym. It wasn't a bad one, although I felt bad that I barely worked out as it was. Maybe I could convince Ty to let me use my own staff pass to maybe get fit. Maybe I could convince Ty to let me use my own staff pass. Convince Tyson? Does Tyson work at the gym? Is Tyson his boss? I don't understand that sentence. Do you understand that sentence?
Nope.
I don't know what that sentence means.
Maybe convince Tyson to use his staff pass to let me get in?
I don't know.
I just said my by mistake.
It says my own. Well, because we're talking about... Because we work there. We're the one that works at the gym.
Does Dave work there?
Yeah, Dave works at the gym. That's how he met Sal.
No, I knew he met Sal at the gym. I thought he met Sal because Tyson worked there, and he's been going to the gym.
I think Dave works at the gym.
Okay.
Yeah. The web of friends is weird.
Go back to being a receptionist at the gym. Yeah, okay, so I must have been remembering it, but...
Yeah, he met Sal because...
Ty to let me use my own staff pass to maybe get fit. Yeah, I don't understand what that sentence is.
I don't know why he has to convince Ty of anything if he works at the gym and has a staff pass and can just use the I don't know what that means. The people there were nice, and a lot of the regulars were people that worked along with Dad. Part of me wondered if they noticed me not being around so much. But it was also the place where I met Sal, as funny as that seemed in retrospect. Just some guy that worked at a place talking to some other guy that was around because we got caught in the rain. Yep, that's how people meet. Maybe just happenstance like that was how things worked out sometimes. Also, you just coincidentally he's best friends with a guy trying to date you. This is just weird, star-crossed people we would have never met otherwise, and it's like you're already deeply interconnected characters that already have a lot of reasons to meet each other. I wouldn't say it was fate, given that's more Roswell's department, but it was fortune all the same.
Dave, are you really doing okay?
No. The question came as a surprise, and I frowned to the dream version of Sal, expecting him to elaborate.
I mean, really? Tyson told everyone about your dad while you just sat there and relived things in your head. All right, so he didn't even explain anything.
Yeah. We prompted Tyson to do it, and then we just zoned out and experienced it in real time. That's what happened.
It does make that moment play a little goofier.
Well, yeah, he had it covered, and, well...
But that was your story to tell. Not again, we didn't... A story that I think I would have preferred to hear from your mouth.
But why? I would have likely said whatever Tyson did. It's basically the same thing. You don't even know what he said because you zoned out again.
So the way that it was said earlier, the impression I had was that Tyson said his dad died and then Dave just blurted the rest. I didn't realize
No.
Tyson told the whole story, which is...
Yeah, no, very explicitly, Tyson was gonna just sit there and explain everything, and then Dave at the same time was gonna just reminisce the whole thing, and so
Yeah.
it
It was the reminiscence itself that confused me. I thought that was just him expositing.
We're experiencing the real thing that happened directly by being there, and everyone else is hearing it secondhand from another person, and we just take it on faith that those two stories match up, which seems unlikely because of how people tell stories, but...
Are you sure about that?
Oops. That.
You know I'd understand what it's like.
Because of your sister. And I know that, but I don't know. Sal rumbled in the way I knew him to, shifting uncomfortably on the spot while keeping his eyes trained on me.
Is it worth trying?
I'm just so confused, Sal. You make me feel things that I don't think I should. It's kind of like my relationship with Orlando, but also like my relationship with Dean, too. Make me feel things I don't think I should?
That's not all, though. You think that I like you back at least a little.
Maybe? It's the whole sleeping thing that gets me. It's nice, but...
Tell me these things, Dave. Tell me these things in person, and I'll listen.
I definitely won't choke you out this time. But when? How?
I won't say the moment you wake up, but whenever you're ready.
What if I'm never ready? What if I just don't want to tell you at all?
Then you probably wouldn't potentially have a crush on me. But that's okay. We can talk about it more when you're ready to talk about it.
Everything slowly faded into an inky black, my mind settling back into unconsciousness so I could rest. By the time I woke, I felt different. Not better or worse, just different. I wasn't even sure if I felt rested, but I knew at the very least I didn't want any more sleep. Taking a shower to wake myself up properly, I dressed in some fresh clothes and headed downstairs. As I stepped out of my room and looked around, I spotted Benson lingering at the top of the stairs, looking down to the floor below. He didn't seem to notice me at first, staring into the empty space as I made my approach. "Morning, Benson." Near immediately, his attention snapped to me with a frown. But upon seeing me, he faltered, expression softening.
Good morning, Dave.
"Morning."
How are you faring after yesterday?
Better, I think? I'm just kind of here, I guess.
That's normal. Don't expect to be right as rain immediately, and chances are, you may feel sad over the coming days.
Chances are, you're not dealing with the fact that someone tried to stab me 2 days ago. There was a sadness in his eyes as he watched me, and I felt guilty knowing that I had a good idea why I was seeing it. "What about you?" He continued to watch me for a few moments longer, the faint twitching of his nose and his mustache as he breathed in a sigh that his composure was hanging by a thread. Okay. Breathed in, a sign that his composure was hanging by a thread. Comma.
I shall be all right. There are more pressing matters right now, but I assure you that I've had some time to grieve already. Granted, the wound is still deep, my boy.
2 words in ellipses, granted.
Fancy a spot breakfast?
Near immediately, it seemed as though any sense of grief seemed to disappear. seemed, replaced with the professional air I was more familiar with. It didn't sit right with me, and I recoiled at his question with a frown. He seemed to notice, not that I did anything to hide it, and he gently shook his head with a sigh.
I assure you, Dave, I shall be fine. I'm no stranger to death, after all. I've hunted people for sport for years.
You're next.
Exactly.
Then, later, can I ask you some questions?
What sort of questions, my boy?
You know, guy stuff. About, well, Oswin. Just something else happened while you were gone, and, quickly looking around, Benson seemed to check if we were alone. When he next looked at me, there was a fierceness behind his eyes, right where the sadness had been. Did he want revenge? Was he angry? I couldn't tell.
Then I shall make time for you later. In the meantime, I suggest we get some food into you. If what I heard of yesterday is correct, you must be famished.
Together we made our way into the dining room, splitting off as I sat down with the others already at the table. Good morning. I turned to Sal, Roswell, and Haas, all seemingly unsure of how to answer. Roswell nudged both Haas and Sal before shooting me a quick smile.
Morning, Dave. Sleep all right?
Oh my god. Roswell's voice makes me cough.
Took you out at the knees.
Oh man, yeah, that was brutal. I have to like clench my throat muscles, and it gets me sometimes.
Have you forgotten what he did?
Yeah, I slept for like 3 days straight.
That's good, right?
Did you need to sleep more?
God, no.
You could go back to bed if you wanted.
Right, especially with yesterday being so...
He gestured with his hand. He gestured with his hands, filling in the rest of his sentence. I think I'm good for now, at least. Just need to wake up some more and have something to eat. You name it, and I'll make it. Honest. I haven't been a character for like 5 days. Maybe just give him some space, Orlando. Right here, he can speak for himself. Just try to be thoughtful. How is the game organizing the characters based on who's voicing them? It's okay, really. I don't know. Sighing out, I shook my head. Don't worry, I've got this. Sit tight, Dave. No, Ty, it's okay. What I really want to say is, sorry. You have nothing to apologize for. Well, to be fair, he kinda does, but that's for later. That came out loud. I said that out loud. Oh no! I'm sorry for making everyone worry that I've, well... There was a silence all around while I trailed off. Breathing in deep, I resolved myself to admitting that what I was sorry for without a prompt from someone else. I'm sorry that I've been a shitty friend. We're just glad you're alive. Which, all things considered about what happened, well... Alright, maybe let's not do this over breakfast. He hasn't even had coffee yet. Which he's been using as a meal replacement for the last 36 hours. Despite me saying that I was able to manage, Ty got up and wandered off towards the kitchen and presumably got me something to drink. Yeah, to presumably get the thing he declared he would do preemptively in explicit terms. Oh, right. Breakfast. Anyway, I'm falling apart. Hang tight, Dave. I'll go make you something. Before I could get a word in edgewise, he was hot on Tyson's heels and disappeared into the kitchen much the same. Is it alright if we just take today slowly?
Well, yeah, of course. I didn't have any plans after yesterday.
We've never had plans. We're not a plans people. We just are here.
Most of us were just
waiting for me. Didn't seem right to go planning anything out after you passed out. After we made sure you were comfortable in bed, we just sort of sat around sharing stories. We are a group of friends, you know, and we all interact, but only when you're not here.
mostly any nice memory we had of you, just to try and lift the mood a little.
Like a wake, we accepted that you were dead.
Benson's been on near constant lookout for that, well, who he saw in the woods.
Everyone's like afraid to finish their sentences. Every single sentence starts out with the burst of energy and then peters out and they're like it's Voldemort. Like they just don't want to ever name anything at the point where it's like, just the guy. It's the guy with the knife. I nodded slowly, the image of Jack flashing through my head.
Run, run as fast as you can.
My hands went to my head and I cowered in my chair. I could hear his voice echoing through my head like I was back out in the woods. No, I'm safe. I shut my eyes tighter, tried to block him out, but he was there. I flinched when I felt something touch my shoulder, fearing I was backed up against a tree again and with his knife at my throat.
Just give up, Dave. Let whatever happens, happen.
Dave. I was trembling, on my back, on the floor, with Ty over me, holding me steady. I was breathing hard, still reeling from the thoughts of Jack, and my eyes were damp. I sat up and clung to him, heart beating rapidly in my chest, just as tightly as he held on to me, as he guided me back to my feet to ease me back down into a chair so I could pick up the one I'd Alright, this is too much logistics here. You don't need all this. You just don't need this long of an explanation of what's happening. It's just too complicated at some point. Alright, who was it?
Well, me, but...
Snarling, Ty advanced on Roswell, who was caught by the scruff.
That's enough. He didn't mean it, Tyson.
Shrugging Sal off him, Ty grumbled as he threw his hands up. Fine. But give him a chance to recover first.
Sorry, I didn't realize it'd provoke a reaction like that so easily.
He's not around, is he? Dave, I think you'd know. There was a silence again, broken only by the sound of Orlando setting something down on the table. Broken out of my trance, the smell hit me immediately, causing me to rise at the sweet scent. Butter, cinnamon, maple syrup. At first I thought waffles, but I took in another breath through my nose. French toast? Yeah, I know you like eggs, so... I made the thing that tastes the least like eggs, but technically has them. I might have pounced on a little too eagerly, almost inhaling it, and barely savoring the rich goodness as it coated my tongue. Slow down or you're gonna choke. The second piece was midway to my mouth before I paused, looking around at the others. Sorry, I guess I'm just hungry? I'm gonna make some more then. Anyone else want any? A couple hands went up and Ty shook his head. Give whatever I'd have to Dave. Alright. Sure. I'll be back again. He knows we're not running out, right? Like, I could just... What the fuck? Follow my sword, my imaginary sword, because there's no sacrifice to make here. I'm Tyson.
I'll go make myself useful. Be back soon. Wow, that'd be a first.
The two of them wandered off
finally.
towards the kitchen, and everyone's always wandering. It's the only form of travel. And I resumed shoveling food into my mouth.
I had a question. For who? For Dave.
Sure. What's the question?
What would you like to do today?
Well, I thought about it, brow furrowed. The options the mansion gave us seemed to be a fair bit. But then again, that's just a weird way to say that. The options the mansion gave us seemed to be a fair bit. But then again, the thought of going outside was sending shivers down my spine. Before anything else, though, I knew at the very least I wanted to check in with Benson. With Osmond gone, he was the only one around that might have any answers. Besides that, I had a certain rat to appease. A thought that sent a shiver down my spine. What are we supposed to think about Thanatos? What does Thanatos want? Do we think he's good or bad? What does Dave think about Thanatos?
My take is that we're not supposed to think about Thanatos because he entered the plot and then just promptly disappeared. So yeah. I have no idea. No idea.
There's so much more follow-up with Jack than Thanatos so far. But it's like a thought that sent a shiver down my spine, appeasing the rat. Why is that? What's that emotional response? What does that mean? Why does he feel that way? Only something I wanted to talk with Benson later, but that's about it, really.
I see. Well, perhaps it would be best to just take it easy today. Rest days are important. Plenty to do inside anyway. Maybe we could have another movie night as a group. You're gonna watch anime.
Yeah. I must have noticed I was frowning before I'd realized I was doing it, poking me suddenly. Stop frowning. I'm not frowning. I was just thinking. It's hard. Right, well, how's the movie day sound? Maybe? I like it better now because you said day instead of night, and I'm scared of the dark. In reality, I didn't really want to be around a bunch of people. I still felt ashamed for the past few days and wanted some time to think about what was to happen next. Was I still broken? I felt better and worse at the same time, and didn't know how to really know if that was normal. My eyes found Sal's, and he was watching me carefully, almost expectantly, but said nothing. Shooting him a quick smile, I kept my voice low while I figured out what I really wanted to say. I'll join, but I have to do a couple things first, so just start without me. Well, if you're gonna join, there's no point in starting if you're gonna rock up halfway through. I'm just gonna accept that as slang. I'm just gonna accept that as being real.
Does make it harder for sure, but you always watch something shorter until he arrives, you know, like anime.
Anime, the universally example of a shorter thing.
I'm a little concerned about how often you bring anime up, Haas. It's as if you don't have any interest in any other genre. Yeah, it's almost as if anime fans like Haas have only one personality trait, and it's liking anime.
I mean, it's a bit of a selection bias. They're from a literal anime club.
Mm-hmm. Well, that makes it even weirder, because the rest of the group doesn't care about anime except Orlando. Well, excuse you for assuming that I'm not crazy for literally the greatest thing on the planet. God. Every time Haas wins points for me as like, oh, maybe he's actually being like a reasonable character, he just becomes this, and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, well,
I could never spend 5
Tyson
minutes
wins
around
points
him.
for me, he then drugs somebody against their will, so... Whoops. Okay, pretty sure you're the only one that feels that way. You and Reddit. Maybe we shouldn't watch it just to make a point.
Or let Dave decide what you get to watch until he arrives.
What, as punishment? He's not there.
God, I don't know what would be worse given his tastes.
Card captors of the cloud expect the unexpected now. My taste in shows are fine, thanks. Just different.
Is fine, because you're talking about your taste, not the shows.
What did he say? Yep.
My
yeah,
taste in shows
wrong.
are fine.
Yeah, but he is speaking, so it's more acceptable that he's wrong.
Yeah.
People can be wrong. I found myself
No,
drawn
they
to
can't.
Sal again, who had seemed to stop watching me from the time being. But I still got the impression he was keeping tabs on me somehow. Maybe I was just being hopeful. His internal monologue's so strange sometimes.
Yeah.
It's just so granular and specific in a way where I don't know how any of this... Like, how would you film this scene? Like, how would you convey this emotion, this look where... Sal's right in front of us in this conversation, but he looked away from me, but I can tell he's totally still thinking about me or something. Almost like we're talking right now. Like, it's just, I don't know what you mean by that. You're talking to each other right now. Eye contact doesn't have to happen the whole time. A lot of people can't do it. Eventually, we all settled in for more French toast, and I finally got myself some coffee. Tyson forgot, apparently. Something about it tasted different. Not bad, but different. Maybe different was just a new feeling I was gonna have to get used to. Everyone seemed intent on focusing on eating, except for Tyson, who slid his plate over to me. He didn't even look at me as he did, instead fiddling with his phone while he drank his coffee. My belly full, I yawned. There was nothing like a good meal, and breakfast was a good reminder of it. Sitting there in the foyer, I had stretched out after Orlando had offered to take my plate for me, and I looked around. The temporality of that sentence is wild. You go out to the foyer, then you whip back to the dining room to talk about the plate, then you whip back into the foyer to look around in one sentence. It's just don't do that. For an entrance hall, it was quite big, to the point where it almost seemed like wasteful of the space. But the house I lived in was fairly open as well, so maybe it was just something I wasn't used to. What? What? Okay. It's odd that he's re-observing the entrance to the house he's been in for 15 days, but it's also strange that his counterexample of why he's not used to such a big opening is that his house is also very open as well.
Yeah.
So, which is a similarity, not a difference. So that's just...
Yeah.
I don't... What's happening?
Yeah.
Wandering over to the back door, I felt my fur tingle the closer I got. My eyes were locked on the world on the other side of the door, and I couldn't bring myself to cross the last few steps to reach the handle. I found myself standing there fiddling with my hands, my tail tucked between my legs. Not that I wanted to go outside anyway, but there was that fear that Jack was waiting just outside of the trees. It was enough that I found myself growling in frustration, clutching my ears. I knew better than to pull, but I did anyway. I spun around the moment I heard him speak, pulling my hands away from my ears.
Should I be questioning the growling? You don't normally growl.
He definitely does, because it's specifically a quirk people keep commenting on. I sometimes do that when I'm upset.
You're upset, right? That makes sense. Because you can't go outside. If you wanted to sit outside for a bit, I can sit with you if you're scared.
It's that obvious, huh?
To wanting to sit outside or being scared? If it's the latter, then yes.
Right, I just don't like the feeling that I'm not in complete control of myself anymore. You doing alright?
Yeah.
We're both running out of voice.
Yeah, we've been doing this for a while.
Understandable. I've had a rough time going through that with the prospect of sleepwalking.
Right. Yeah, of course. I sighed out and wandered over.
Now both of them in one sentence.
They can kiss. They can kiss. Hands buried in my pockets.
Are you off to do those things that you needed to do before the movie?
You can say I deflate and approach. Look, Sal, can we talk? We're doing it right now. Dave, we're doing it.
Yes, why? Would I say no?
I mean, God, I don't know, Sal.
Did you want to do something while we talked?
You know. Like what? I wouldn't say no to coloring or painting normally, but right now I'm just sort of...
Does little Davy want a coloring
You
book?
want a coloring book?
Does he want to draw with crayons?
I get that he paints, but saying coloring was
Yeah.
a little odd. But also just it was unprompted. Like there's no... I don't think coloring has ever come up before, so I don't know why he jumped straight to a thing he doesn't want to do. That's a weird example.
Just kind of funny.
These are a few of my least favorite things. I threw my hands up, gesturing loosely and hoping got the message. He didn't. He didn't at all.
I don't really know what that means, but if you're anything like Dean, he likes to do something when he's talking stuff out. Be it bowling or angrily tend into his herb garden while he mumbles about his troubles.
Angry herbology. What do you mean when you want to talk?
I'm happy mostly just listening and talking in a quiet space. I'd say the pool normally, but that's outside.
What are these Twitter DMs? You guys are already talking. Just talk.
Yeah, it's
Losing
super
my
weird.
mind. There's so much logistical talk about what people are going to do in this game, and it just isn't how people usually need to talk. You really do like the pool, don't you?
For the same reason you love coffee, Dave. It's one of the few things that helps us anchor memories of those we wish were still around.
Sal has that specific of a read on Dave? Whoa.
It's just, yeah, wildly expository.
A few moments of silence passed between us before he sighed out again, placing a hand on my shoulder.
How about we make some snacks for the movie? Or maybe get an early start on lunch.
An early start on lunch? Like, no time has passed, right? We just ate breakfast, though.
It's only a suggestion. We could sit in silence while you talked about what you needed to if you really wanted.
Please start talking. Please start the conversation, I'm begging you. No, that sounds worse somehow. Let's do the kitchen thing. Okay, well, they're gonna do the kitchen thing. Thank God. I'm glad we had to talk through those logistics so that we could sigh out and wander.